Hi, so we are live now. Welcome to Open to Connect. This is, I don't ever know whether to call it a podcast or a broadcast or whatever it is, but it's an opportunity to talk to amazing people. And today I have Phil Davis joining us today. He is a career coach. He knows a lot about like HR and recruiting and whatnot. So we met over puns, actually. So I saw his fulFILing business and his name's Phil. So we punned back and forth for a while. And it's like we went from, hi, I don't know who you are, to friend zone almost immediately. So I'm thrilled you're here. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, I am so excited. Thank you, Jacqueline, for having me on, and I love this. Save the best meeting for the last meeting of the day of the week. So I'm stoked to be here. I'm just making sure that on my end we're live on my YouTube channel. So for YouTube folks watching there, and then it's streaming on my LinkedIn, I think too. So yeah, we're all good. We're all good.
Yes,
Happy to be here.
I think I'm all good on my side too. So yeah, let's do this whole thing. Tell me a little bit about yourself. It's like I love to hear people's stories. So just
Yeah.
get us going
Yeah.
with who are you?
This guy over here. Oh, where do I even start, right? Well, I am Phil of FulPHILment, and I like to call myself the singing career coach HR guy. And, music's been a part of my life since I was maybe 5, 6 years old. And so it's a huge part of my brand. It's a huge part of who I am. And um, I've been in the HR talent development space for almost 15 years. Hard to believe. Love all things people, love helping and seeing people grow and succeed. And I was in corporate HR for a while, and then of course COVID hit. COVID impacted so many people's jobs and careers and lives, and so I ended up finding my own fulFILment, which is helping mid and senior level career professionals and high growth companies go from frustrated to fulfilled with my unique 8-step tune into process that helps people obtain their fulfillment, whether they're looking for a new job, whether they're looking for a promotion, or whether they're a business looking to find top talent. And I've been doing it for myself. It'll be 4 years in September. I've loved every moment of it, even the challenging moments that have grown me and have made me cry a lot. I'm still here doing it. So I love it, and I know our puns are. Obviously, we met on LinkedIn, like through all our puns and stuff like that, as you said earlier. And I'm excited to bring some puns out. I'm sure today on this live. So
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if I can keep up today or not. Like time will tell very quickly here. Yeah, we're talking about like having that fulfilling network, and I
yeah,
recently laid off from Microsoft, and part of you were even asking right before we started, how am I doing? And so much of the peace that I had in that layoff was because I had invested in a network ahead of time. So when it happened and I put the green banner on, it I actually ended up turning it off because I was so overwhelmed with just people offering to help and scam people, which we don't have to spend time here talking about. But
hmm
I think having that network is so important, and I would love to just hear your perspective on what do you see as networking, and what value do you see it bringing to people's lives or
yeah,
their professional journeys?
yeah. It's such a good question, and I know this is something I've been noodling like all day to like have a really good response for you and the audience. And what I like to kind of go to, like I usually like to have a gut reaction response and then kind of explain it. Well, my gut when we talk about networking, if we even just break down the words net and working, right? So like the word
Mm,
net, and I'm a big analogy guy. So if you think of net, right, we want to have a strategic network like that of a spider's web, right? So if you go outside, which down here in Atlanta, Georgia, there are all these cobwebs and they're all like a mess. But sometimes you go out and you'll go to like a bush, like out in my front yard, like if I go right out the front door, we have these tall little evergreen tree bushes or whatever. I guess they're
mhm.
such a thing. I don't know. My wife Kelsey would know more about all the plants and flowers we have in the house and outside the house. There's beautiful, like gorgeous spider webs that I guess some of these Japanese spiders and other like crazy cool spiders are making. and they strategically are making these webs like beautiful and perfect and symmetrical. And so when you think about networking as far as the net, we really want to make sure that our network is working for us, right? So we want to build out beautiful spider webs and have it work for us, not against us. Not like those cobwebs that are just kind of out like on the walls, like they're just like they're like a paintbrush, putting paint on the wall and we're hoping it's going to stick, right? And then the working aspect of it, right? Like networking takes work and networking takes time. It's not a one and done thing where we get out on LinkedIn or we get out on social media and, one day and we're hoping something's going to happen, right? Because as humans, and I talk a lot about this with my clients on the career coaching side, a lot of times, it's in our human nature that we want things now, 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 now. We want the new job right now. We want, the promotion right now, or we want something in our lives to happen right now. But a lot of times we forget to embrace the journey that we're going through to reach the destination. So one of my good friends, and I'll give her a shout out, G. Gahan Arnowski, who was on my show a couple weeks ago, which I want to get you on my show as well, Jacqueline, soon as well. She talked about like thinking about the destination, right? And we can always think about the destination where we want to go, but we also have to embrace the journey. And so I think that really kind of stings to what like networking is, in my opinion. Making a beautiful spider web, beautiful symmetrical network that's proactive, working for you. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And you also want to make sure that you have the destination in mind, but also remembering the journey that you're going through within your networking, because every day is different.
Yeah, there's so much there that we could unpack. And one of the things, even as you mentioned a spider web, I was kind of thinking, there's the center of it, and you can even use this in networking, is there's that core group that you get really close to, but it can go so much wider. And it's not that people can't move down this. In fact, I encourage people to realize that most people are going to be in the big part on the outside, but then you're going to have those that are the closer, and it's almost like working is getting towards that center of how do we get to the relationship part of building a network. And I also loved how much you're talking about basically everybody has a day one, right? And we all stumble through figuring that out. And we don't have a lot of control on the what journey bumps and whatnot that we have at the beginning, because you just don't even know. You don't know what to ask. You don't know what to do. And there's a lot of fear. And can you hear all those crazy birds outside, like joining our conversation? Anyway, that's the joy of life. But yeah, I loved both of those things in talking about that joy in or I like to say joy in the journey. And just if we fall on our face, okay.
And it is okay if we fall on our face. And I love how you have joy in the journey. I resonate with that because my motto with FulPHILment is fulfilling your journey. Like it's on every LinkedIn post I put out there, on every social media post. It's fulfilling your journey, because that at the end of the day, as a coach, as a guide, as a mentor, whatever you want to call me, as a singing tenor guy, whatever, my goal is to help fulfill your journey wherever you are. And 1,000%. Some days aren't going to be easy, right? We're going to fall on our face, which I did on the treadmill last week. I was doing an Orange Theory workout on the treadmill. I'm training for a half marathon, and I went too fast and I fell flat on my face, and I have like a bruise on my hand. I've got a bruise on my knee. Like I'm still recovering, but what's most important is even though I'm still like in pain and I'm hurting, I'm still training. Like I'm still moving, even though I'm not as quick. I'm still recovering and I'm still making those things happen. So again, another analogy right there to give people, like if you have those bad days, right, and you're like, okay, yeah, it stings a little bit today, or okay, maybe I didn't get to reach out to as many people as I wanted to today, or I had something personal happen in my life. It's okay. And just as long as we get up the next day and we've got a new mindset to say, all right, I'm going to conquer the day, we're going to make it happen. Our friend Gregory at Liverpool in the house too. I'm just looking at his comments. We appreciate you, man, for tuning in. Speaking of singing, and how was that? Yeah, the singing, man. I knew Gregory. Somebody was going to say you need to sing or you need to talk about singing. So I was
wondering if you were going to sing through your introduction or something.
I may do something later, man. But yeah, I love that. I love it. I love it.
I give advice sometimes talking about just the beginning and the joy and the journey is start when people are afraid to post or do something. I'm like, well, start when your network's small, because people aren't going to remember the mistakes unless you do something abhorrent, that goes against some massive social norms or something. But in general, like when you're at that beginning page spot, it's a great time to make the mistakes before before your network grows too much. So I love that part.
I love that. And that's another thing too, right? Like, I think it's important. And you're making the wheels turn. This is what I love about lives, because especially like whether I'm a host or guest speaker, like I love being able to like have the wheels turn. Network size, people are like, oh, does network size matter? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, here's the deal, right? Quality over quantity, right? If you have a small network of 100 people, but those 100 people are quality people that like are there for you and stuff like that, it's better to have 100 or even 50 like quality folks than to have 100, 200, 300,000 followers that are just sitting there, right? So I will say one of the questions when I because I want to make sure that we talk about this too. Our friend Brenda Meller, who's an exceptional, I say this very transparently, an exceptional LinkedIn branding coach. Shout out to Brenda. She did put in the comments on my post, and we can maybe talk about this too. I'd like to hear both of your thoughts on whether or not you should ever remove connections. I think it's a good time to kind of talk about it, because, if there are folks out there, and here's my take, and I know Brenda wants to hear your take too. If you, I do LinkedIn audits of my network often, like once a month typically. And if there are folks out there that are just sitting there, and I'm like, all right, are they there just because they're there? Or are they there because we're there to support each other? A lot of times I'll do an audit, and if there's people I haven't talked to like 5, 6, 7 years ago, before I remove them, right, I may reach out to them and just say, hey, it's been a while, like hope things are well, just kind of rekindle the relationship first before is it somebody I really want to remove off my network. I think that's important. That's kind of what I do though when I audit. So what about you, my friend?
Oh yeah, so gosh, that's got a lot to it. So first of all, the first point about the quality of the network, when I first started thinking, oh, I'm going to do this LinkedIn thing, not knowing what it was, I was kind of like, I'm going to become a top voice, and that was my goal. And then I started growing, and it actually became too much too fast, and I didn't even take a time to really say, who am I? What is my brand? What do I stand for? And it kind of became a mess. So I just want to double down on what you said, is think about what your actual goals are and then build those relationships. So speaking of, let's talk about removing connections. In what I just talked a bit about, didn't know what I was doing. So I was adding just people constantly. And some of them are high school friends, and some of them are, it's like I was just, LinkedIn suggested I should connect with them. So I connected with them. And the thing is, so many people come to LinkedIn and then they disappear after they come for a job, and then they get the job, and then they disappear, and they scramble back to LinkedIn if they need a new job or get laid off, anything like that. And those connections, especially if I've found them almost randomly or something, they're not really often in the target market I hate to use that word, I guess, target, who are my people? I use the term or the phrase that I'm not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm somebody's kombucha. And I'm like, I want my kombuchas, right? And if I have to let go of some tea, it's okay. There are 1 billion people on LinkedIn. Go find your kombuchas and then stick with each other. So when I remove connections, it's often because I'm realizing almost a self-discovery piece of me. And I'm not saying those people are not valuable as humans and that they don't contribute in all these wonderful ways. It's just that, I really love to connect with recruiters who are sharing their insights on the job markets, things like that. I love career coaches because they, I'm learning from them constantly. I'm in tech, or, was in tech before my layoff. And so I love product managers. I love to learn what they're talking about. I can sit at the feet of giants and find authors and find all these people. So because LinkedIn has a connection limit also, that brings in a little bit more of, do you want to accept everyone, or is that having them, if you follow each other, that's like a little tip. You can still follow each other and still interact with each other and still build relationships without having the official, oh, we're first degree connections. So there are many ways to build relationships without being connected. So that feels like a really long answer to say, yes, sometimes I remove people from my network. But that's because of me realizing more of who Jacqueline is and where am I going. And I want to drag those people along with me. And hopefully they can drag me along when I need the help back and bringing that connection. So if I haven't seen anybody 5-6 years, they haven't, if you look at how long they've been on LinkedIn, and if they haven't been there in 10 years, they're probably not going to show up tomorrow and start having meaningful conversations with you. So I don't typically have too much mourning over letting that relationship be a disconnection for now. We can always find each other later if we need to.
Yeah, and absolutely. You can always rekindle, later on down the road, 1,000%. Or, people can follow. Because I know folks out on LinkedIn where some people they'll follow you first and then they may connect later, right? They may want to see your content. A lot of just on my end, a lot of the lurkers or the readers or people that are actually seeing my content, a lot of times they'll just click on follow, because I have a creator account on LinkedIn. I know you do as well. People can click on follow, and a lot of folks do. And then a little bit later on down the road, they may send a connection request or like a personalized connection request and say, hey, Phil, I saw that post you put on singing, or I saw that post you did on, can experience or whatever. Like, love to connect and talk more about that, or love to, continue to support you, or, whatever. I'm just sharing all hypotheticals, but like you said so perfectly, earlier, like one day at a time, do what works for you, find your tribe. I mean, that's all important. And, if I think when I end up doing auditing too, it's not like I'm just actually looking at my LinkedIn connections, and seeing the connections that I have versus the followers I have. I've got almost 30,000 followers, and then my connection count, I think, might be half of that. Like, I've got maybe a little over 16,000 connections. When I look at them, I also give myself the time, and I'm sure you do too, to get away from the technology as well, and to just reflect on, all right, what kinds of people do I want to be connected with? Do I want to still be connected with this type of employer, right? Or this type of, hiring manager, or something like that, right? Or do I want to change my niche a little bit? Or do I want to broaden the scope of my niche, right? Because I have a pretty broad network around the US currently, and I have global folks that are in my network. Folks up in Canada, you know who you are. British Columbia, you know who you are. All those folks out there, and out in across the pond, in London, Europe, in Asia, I got all sorts of folks, globally, who I interact with constantly as well. But I think it all depends. Yeah, it all depends on your goal. It all depends on where you are now, and your network will change in time. It'll transform in time. So I love how you said earlier too, start small, and continue to strategically reflect on the network and where things are now and where you want them to go later. I think that's awesome. I love it.
I wanted to just kind of hear your thoughts on, because the course that I created on intentional networking, I really have a whole section just on how do you make yourself known for a thing, and which is ultimately a branding question. And I think you've done an amazing job at branding yourself. I think someone asked earlier, where's the orange? Because they didn't realize you were a guest on mine because they thought it was yours. So they're like, where's the orange? Something broke. And that just speaks to how we visually remember people, how we see what they stand for, and then ultimately become memorable, and the top of mindness of that person does this thing. So if somebody says, I need somebody that can fill in the blank, you want to be that person that they think of. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, and the getting known for a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, orange has been my favorite color, and I'm a big proponent of like branding and color. I mean, obviously I have this on, right? This little branded half zip up, and I have this one that's athletic because I love to run, so that's a part of who I am. And on my LinkedIn profile picture, I've got a bow tie because of all the singing and stuff. So sometimes whenever I host my lives, I'll put my bow tie on and stuff like that. But as it comes to branding and stuff, like, you know, do what make, I mean, the thing is, we all have our own unique value, impact, and we all have our own brand, right? And when I think about branding, like a lot of it for me is just hobby driven. So like music, right? I love to sing. One of the reasons why I've got a little quarter note in my logo. And it's funny. So I'll go to like local chamber of commerce events and I'll wear this legit like outfit, this in jeans or whatever. And yeah, the number one thing people say, oh, are you a music company? I'm like, kind of. I career coach, but I also sing. And then I explain my process, the tune in and process. And then it all comes together like, oh my gosh. So now in the community and where I'm at, my county, I go to local in-person events at the chamber and other things like that. People know me as the singing career coach because that's how I have positioned my brand and myself out there. For a long time, I had close friends and family and some folks, and I get critics all the time because that's the thing. Critics will be critics, and people will want to try to take you down. I've had people say, well, does your music get you clients? Like, why are you singing on social media? Like, rah, 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 stuff like that all the time. And I tell folks too, like, people will, and I said this earlier on a comment the other day, like there are a lot of critics out there, and there are a lot of people that just want to bring people down. And I think I say, at the end of the day, like continue to be your unique self and continue to stay true to your brand, because the right people will resonate and they'll be in tune with your brand. Like don't work so hard to try to how do I say this? Like don't try so hard to get it out there, you know what I mean? Like versus like naturally create an authentic, we're here, we're authentic, to create an authentic brand that is truly who you are as a person. Because I would not be where I'm at today if it wasn't for the fact that I got out there and I ended up just singing and just, keeping my brand, fresh and visible, and just being so passionate about that. But more importantly, being passionate about what I do to help other people, the job seekers and the clients that I serve. So I say just be yourself. Don't change for anybody. Like be your true self, for sure.
I love that. And by the way, I did not know you were an avid runner. So I'm also training for a half marathon.
Which one? Which one are you doing?
Disney Wine and Dine. And my husband and I are fans of Lady and the Tramp. If you're telling me you're going there, we're going to hang out.
When is it?
It's in October.
I'm doing the battle. I should sign up for that. I should do that one. Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing. I'm doing the Battlefield half in Chickamauga up North Georgia in November.
Awesome. Well, great. Shoot. Then we should hold each other accountable. But
I know.
Then what we're talking about is sometimes the hobbies are the things that make you so memorable to someone else. And I remember my daughter when she was 12, she was so good at making friends. And I was just like, how do you know all of these people? We just moved here and you're just calling everybody by name. And she would say, oh, I just ask some questions until some answer reminds me of their name, like Artsy Annie or something like that. And I'm just thinking how perfect, right? On just being curious about the other person. And I do want to bring that into networking. I often tell people to just interact with people's posts. It's like people could almost say it's Jacqueline's mantra is if you really want to network, get curious and ask questions on people's posts. You will be stunned at how many people come to you then, or how you can establish expertise by chiming in somewhere else and get to show. I think that's how we met. I was just on someone else's post and saw your comment, and it was delivered with humor, and that was that. It just took off from there. So.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that LinkedIn has implemented, and I know you know this and folks out in the audience I'm sure know too, is the impressions now on comments. So you can see your own impressions on comments that you post out there. I absolutely love it. I love seeing the impressions, because if you say, okay, well, 20 people saw my comment another hypothetical, like Jacqueline sent an awesome picture on my promotion post I did on our live here. Jacqueline could go back in and she can see, okay, X amount of people saw my awesome spirit fingers picture. That's hundreds or 20s or however many people saw that picture and probably got hyped up when they saw it. I did when I saw that picture about 30 minutes ago. I was like, oh my gosh, like, because I was getting nervous backstage a little bit, because I always do. But when I saw it, I was like, ooh, that's an energy that I needed from Jacqueline. Like,
Jazz
that's
hands.
in that picture. Exactly. I'm like, okay. So that brought me peace of mind. And I'm just one person. So think of all the other people that are looking at your comments, your posts, what you're putting out there, your videos, if you do video reels on social. And it's just, again, I mean, it's incredible to see that, because it's like, okay, all these people are looking at our stuff. And that's the other thing too. There are more people out on social, LinkedIn, Instagram, what have you. There are more people that are looking at your stuff than you realize. Like, even the lurkers, even the folks that aren't engaging, they're still seeing your stuff. I mean, heck, I'll give you an example right now. So a couple weeks ago, one of my good friends who lives South Atlanta, she was looking to hire a recruiter, right? So I talked with her about it. I said, yeah, let's talk about the role. Let me know what's going on. I'll see how I can help you out. Great friend of mine, exceptional leader in talent space, love her to death. And we talked a little bit about it. I said, okay, I said, are you having a hard time filling it? What's going on? She's like, it's just been filled, or we just opened the role, yada, yada, yada. I said, you know what I'm going to do for you? I said, I'm going to just do a blanket post out on my LinkedIn, and I'll just tell folks, hey, I've got an awesome friend who's looking for a brand new recruiter for her manufacturing company. Here's the range of pay. Here's the location. It's an on-site role or whatever, that kind of stuff. And let me see what I can do for you. See if my network has folks that are gonna reach out. So of course, people comment, people reach out. They send me their resume, which I asked folks to do, and I looked at them, vetted them, and all that good stuff. And then I had a good friend of mine who is a recruiter locally here reach out and said, hey, I'd love to talk to you about the opportunity, right? And I gave her the time. I said, absolutely. So let's talk about it. I can explain to you what's going on, because she also supported my business. She's given me a couple referrals. So she gave me some value before I even had a chance to say, all right, well, let's talk about it. So she actually gave me some support with FulPHILment during a time of struggle when I had. And I remembered that. I remember that she gave me some support and motivation when I was struggling. So I'm like, yeah, let me talk to her. So I ended up kind of talking to her, giving her a, informal interview. You're always interviewing when you're talking to people, I believe, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know who you're going to be able to help. And I always write everything down. I got notes on our live right here. I'm documenting stuff. Always do. And I'm like, yeah, she's in the space. She's awesome. Let me introduce her to the hiring manager. So on LinkedIn, I sent a message out, said, hey, you two people are amazing. I want to introduce you guys together. See if it works out. Great. If y'all talk and it's a fit, awesome. If not, hey, you got another person in your network that's high quality who, I can't refer you two more enough. So they ended up having an interview. The interview went well, had a panel, the next week, went on site, met with the team and leadership. And mind you, they're a global company. So some global leaders, I'm sure, got to meet her as well. And she got hired and she started her role about 3 weeks ago, all because of a simple networking chain of events. Hey, Phil, I'm looking to fill this recruiter, to then me getting a post out on LinkedIn, to then having people, send resumes, to having a friend who helped me out a while ago ask for my help. And then it became an introduction, and then she got the offer, and now they're working together.
Fantastic.
Chain of event. Yeah.
I have so many. Well, I think anybody who's on LinkedIn enough trying to network have these stories where there were times I would just walk the halls in Microsoft and somebody would stop. I love your content. They never interacted one hoot with it. I had no idea that they were even watching. And then I have other people who will reach out at some point and like, you're so motivational or something. And I'm just thinking, I was so discouraged because there was zero interaction happening when I was looking. Like, there were no comments. So I'm sitting here saying, did I waste my time building content, only to find out weeks or months later that I've been impacting someone who's been lurking all along. And you just never know who's watching. You never know how helping somebody to your story just a little bit can come back years from now. And I see Glenn in our chat here. We talked about in our session about that long-term networking goal. And you just don't know when your next opportunity or partnership or any of those things can come years after you've met somebody
and
seemingly randomly.
Well, and people, and I say this all the time, people do not forget how you made them feel. And I say that from a personal and a professional perspective. The number one thing as a recruiter, and I still get it to this day, even as a coach, career coach, the number one thing is that I love that fulfills me. I always mess it up. I always point here. I'm like, well, that fulfills me here is when people reach out. I haven't spoken to them in years, and they're like, Phil, you hired me or you placed me in this, PR coordinator position, and I'm now the, director of PR at the same company. I want to just say thank you for giving me a chance. Thank you for hiring me. Thank you for being a part of my journey. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for you. Just something as simple as that. Mm-hmm. And that is what brings me the joy and the fulfillment is, when folks do that short term or long term. And people remember, they really do remember. Because one of the things I'm very proud to say of myself is I am truly a person of integrity. Like if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it and I'm going to follow through on it. And if I don't do it, or if I can't do it in the time that I said I would do it, I will let you know. Like I will communicate. Or if I'm not able to effectively do it in the way I know I want to, I'll tell you that too. I'll say, well, I want to do it for you, but I need more information, or I need to, try to get a different resource to try to be able to do this better for you. And people remember that. So again, that goes back to that uniqueness that we all have, right? How are you going to make your mark on other people when it comes to networking? Because networking isn't all about yourself. That's the other thing too. It's all about listening to other people, right? In-person events, on social media, getting to know the other person that you're being introduced to, or that kind of stuff. And Jacqueline nailed it perfectly through their content, through commenting, right? If you're making those comments on LinkedIn or social media, don't just say, oh, I agree with you, or I disagree with you. Like explain why you agree or why you disagree. What resonates with you, right? What are things that differentiate from how you feel about it, right? And then bring some of your insights into that comment, right? When you're doing that, that's the stuff people remember.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I love that you said, or disagreeing with someone. You don't have to agree with everybody's take to still network well. I think that we can be driven towards a more excellent, just a human actually, by listening to those other perspectives that someone may offer. And, you even mentioned before about you kind of pick up the people who disagree or cut you down and whatnot along the way, which is almost like I have now arrived in a social media world when I get my first haters. But, it also speaks to how much you're resonating in some way with people, that they take the time to even to disagree with you. It's like, you moved them in some way so much that it's let's have a talk. So, and I do love those moments too, because I grow a lot by listening to those other perspectives.
Yeah, and patience. Yeah, the Maya Angelou quote, exactly right. The people will remember how you made them feel. That's one of my all-time favorites. That's why I say it too. It's definitely one of the most powerful quotes that's out there for sure. 1,000%. And then Gregory just said here, I'm just in the comments, I had a conversation with another person on this, that networking isn't a one-way street, is 1,000%. 1,000%. It is a two-way street.
I actually think it's more about making it. Yeah, I think it's more about the other person than yourself. And if you approach it that way, I think you'll grow so much more. And even when you're reaching out, kind of to the commenting thing we were talking about a second ago, I almost gamify what kind of relationship can I build with someone before I ever go into the inbox. And maybe I'll never go into the inbox until a year or two later, but we can still feel so connected from things like exchanging puns on different posts. And you still can cross from that stranger into, okay, I'll do anything for this person because they just keep showing up and talking with me. So I love those thoughts too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I am in complete agreement with you there. It is truly get to know the other person, get to know who they are, get to understand what they're all about. You know, icebreakers are important. I like icebreakers a lot. So sometimes like if I network and I, naturally, believe it or not, like I am naturally introverted. Like I actually am one that I don't like large crowds. I don't. I know. I do not. I don't. And I'll go to these Chamber of Commerce networking events weekly. There's a Tuesday night one that's up and coming that's incredible, and that's a little bit more intimate, so that's more up my alley and stuff like that. Which is good. But if I and I had a what was I say? I had another person like yesterday, a good friend of mine, talk about like networking and stuff like that too. And sometimes if I see people, and he said the same thing, if I see people that are just kind of sitting and they're just kind of hanging out, I may just go up to them and just say, hey, introduce myself, right? Like, hey, I'm Phil. What's your name? What do you do? What are you all about? I want to learn. Like, what's a favorite hobby that you like to do? Just something to kind of bring up the conversation. And as a recruiter, that's one thing too. Like when I was in corporate, if I saw that there was, interviewee or somebody that may be nervous, right? Like we'd sit down and we would just do breathing exercises, and I'd ask them like, what's your favorite thing to do? If you're not working, like, what do you like to do? What's your story? And get that kind of stuff. So it's important.
There's so much power in hearing another person's story too. And I was just thinking about, we also don't, you made one brilliant point, which is if you see someone kind of by themselves at an in-person networking event, especially, um, go reach out to that person. They're probably scared. And you being that person who goes first. I love the concept of somebody needs to go first on. I was having that conversation actually yesterday with someone as I want to be authentic, because often if we can be our authentic selves and we go first, another person is then willing to also join in that authenticity, and the quality of that relationship can grow really quick just by being that person who's like, yeah, I'll be vulnerable here for a minute. And I think it's a special, or I don't know if it's a top tip, just, be the one that goes first and reach out to the person who's by themselves. And also you can build a better relationship at a networking event by going to the person who's quiet. You don't always know who that person is. It could be the owner of the company who's just watching their employees shine and don't want to cause a scene, right? Or get all the attention. You just don't know. And sometimes that's the more valuable connection, as opposed to chasing the speaker who everybody wants to talk to. And, look for the other people and find out what happens with that.
I mean, yeah, you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Like you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know who you don't know. There we go. I was like, wait a minute. I love that. And if you are the first one to go, like don't ask. This is one thing that's, pet peeve. Don't ask for the order right away, right? So like if you're looking for a job, don't ask them right immediately, hey, help me, right? Or if you're looking to get some support or advice, don't ask, hey, help me. Like, I mean, it's okay to ask like for help and support, but get to know and understand the person and who you're asking for the help and the support first. That's why for me, I call them tune in sessions or tune in calls. And it's on my LinkedIn, right? So those folks who want to learn more about me, FulPHILment, career coaching, the kind of stuff I do, go to my profile on the blue link that I have. It says book a tune in chat with me. People can learn more about me like that. And they're free. Like the actual call, the discovery calls or whatever, free little call. We can talk about whatever, informal, conversation. And that's how people get to like really learn me and like what I do and how I impact. But then it also gives me a chance to learn them and how they impact and their value. And then to see if this is something that mutually on a, business perspective, we can work something out. Or if not, hey, can I refer you over to somebody else in my network that may be a better fit for you? Or, is there somebody else that, may be able to provide you with a more effective resource? Because again, I'm not for everybody. Like, and that's the thing, we're not for everybody. But
Right.
we don't know that unless we don't like understand the other person, right? So
I think it's you bring up such an amazing point, because when I first kind of started networking and thinking about I want to build a business and working in that, there was kind of there was a scarcity a scenario in my mind. I was like, oh well, there's not, like, if I'm successful, or if someone else is successful, I can't also be successful. And it really changed everything when I was like, there's enough success to go around. Just
yes,
help other people find where they need to be and who they need to be uh, partnering with. And when you do that, there's just so much fear that dissipates on uh, like, I can just help someone, and that's fine. In fact, that's wonderful. And I think that if we do that, I know I feel better just on I helped that person. I helped them get to where they needed to go. And other people turn around and do that too. And it just is an exchange of ideas, of thoughts, of kindness. And it's kind of amazing if when you can open your hand instead of try and clutch it. So that's been a lot of learning in my many year journey in LinkedIn networking now. It's like,
it really is powerful. And you gave me something that was really resonate. I have to remember what it was. Like, obviously be kind, show empathy, but there was something else deeper that I was like, oh my gosh, I just had it and then I forgot it. Wow, but
it'll
that's
come
okay.
back in a second,
Yeah,
or
well,
right when we hang up the
it's
call,
like,
you'll
what? Like,
so,
it'll be
so
backstage and be
everybody
like, oh my.
watching, yeah, check the comments in a little bit, because it'll, if we don't remember, he will right when we call. um, Oh yeah, Patience was saying we were just talking about this topic on the prayer meeting that I have at noon on
I love
Fridays.
that.
So
I
um,
love that. I love
yeah.
that. I love that a lot. I
How
do.
much time do you spend building your network, and do you feel like more people come to you now, or are you consistently still reaching out?
I think it's a mix of two. I mean, I think for me, I think it's important to do a mix of both. I think it's important to outreach, right? To get out there and to expand. Because of course, LinkedIn has changed so much algorithmically. That's also a whole nother discussion. We can have a
We
live
can do
talking
another
about
call on that.
what's the complexities of the algorithm now than it was last year, right? Or something like that. Gregory says being authentic. That may something around that. I think maybe that I was thinking about. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe being authentic around like the empathy and the kindness that you have with somebody. I don't know. Probably something like that. But yeah, thank
Maybe
you,
it was,
Gregory. I think
I was talking
he's
about sharing success, or not holding the holding it tight to your chest. Being
yeah,
maybe just trying to
yeah,
jog your memory, because I know how I am.
yes, yes. No, he's probably right. He's probably spot on or right on. So yeah, but absolutely. But yeah, it's a mix of both. I mean, people reach out, daily all the time. My messages are pretty busy. I don't want to say they're full. I try to do my best to respond to everybody. Um, for sure, and that's the thing. Like, I encourage people to reach out. I do. I encourage people to reach out to don't be shy, especially those folks that are like viewing. I said this the other day too in a comment. Like, if people are viewing your profile, it's one of the reasons why I have LinkedIn Premium. Is I love who views my profile. So if you have, and I use it for business purposes, but also even for networking purposes. If you're viewing my page, I'm going to look at your profile. I'm going to look and see what you're all about. And if it's somebody I want to like reach out to, hey, thanks for visiting my page. Don't be shy. Send me a connection request. Um, Brenda Meller also, I mentioned her earlier. She did a really cool video on her LinkedIn a while ago, and she literally just went out on a reel and she just did her little intro that she always does or whatever, where she has that smile and she's full of energy, and she literally just said that. She's like, hey, you viewed my page, don't be shy, reach out. And I say the same thing, don't be shy, reach out, right? Reach out to me. But I also do the same too, right? So I also like to expand my network and find other people that I may not be connected with. I'm like, all right, well, let's get to understand them, because there may have been a post out there that I saw that was kind of interesting that I wanted to engage on. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll go to my homepage on my desktop. And so if you go to your homepage on your desktop on LinkedIn, for example, you can sort by either top posts. So like if it's by top, it's basically people in your network that you engage with, often. You can click that top and you can actually sort by recent. So if you sort it by recent, then LinkedIn will show you posts of like second and third degree connections that you are not like connected with. And it'll show you different posts of folks that, LinkedIn somehow thinks that you would be interested in. I encourage people to like do that, like go and filter it out by recent every once in a while and see if there are people out there that you can connect with and you can like learn from it too. Because I think that's important because we can always learn more about ourselves like through other people. And that's just a way that I like to do it. So I'm not sure if we lost
Am I back?
Jacqueline. There we are. There you are. Yeah, you're good.
I'm
You're here.
You did lose me for a minute, but I think I'm back. I knew that I could trust that you would still be giving amazing information, whether I was connecting well or not. So.
No, you are just fine. The last thing I said basically at the end of the day when it comes to like reaching out to people
Okay.
is I love expanding my network from like, reaching out to folks like, going to comment on other people's posts that I'm not connected with because it was perfect. I had it. It was I said like I want to learn more about myself through others who I may not know, stuff like that.
Mm. Oh, I love that. I love that. It reminds me of what we're talking about, even the hobbies, and then what you just said. I take improv classes. I know you do the singing. I'm over here as the improviser. I'm not going to get too excited about talking about
I love that
improvisation, or
about
else
you,
I'll
by the way.
never
I
live
love
anywhere
that
else.
about you, by the way.
But
I do.
Really, it gave me the courage to even do these lives. But there is something about learning about yourself through others, and even in those interactions with people doing comedy or make believe scenes, there's just some self exploration in interacting and connecting with other people that you never know where that change is going to bring you in, like who you will become when you do those things and when you take risks on relationships and have the trust and confidence that even if it's not a great relationship, you still learn about you and sometimes what not to do, but also very much you can have those surprise gems. And one of the people that I'm closest to in the improv classes that I do, at first I'm like, oh, I don't know. Do we have anything in common? Well, not a whole lot outside of improvising, but we've grown really close on.
Mm-hmm.
I would do anything if she asked me to help her with a job referral or anything like that.
Exactly. And you would have no idea if it wasn't for the fact that you went to the improv class and you do, because again, y'all have that in common because you guys are both at like, y'all are at the improv class doing that kind of stuff. And that's like, for me, one of the biggest things I love to do is church singing. So there's a church cathedral down in Atlanta. So I'm about 30 minutes north of the city. And I'll sing with this cathedral group maybe twice a month or so. But I do it because it brings me joy and fulfillment. It's my hobby, number two, but it's something that all of us from different walks of life can come together and do this same hobby that we all love to do, like to sing,
Mhm.
in our faith and to just be there, for the service and not have to worry about technology, not have to worry about anything else, but just come together and harmonize and be in tune with each other through our gifts of song. And networking is really the same way because when you go out and do networking in person or even virtual, it's like we're all here together. Even those folks like right here, if I want to get really deep into this stuff, like right now, the folks listening on all our socials like LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, whether you're tuning in live on the replay, we're all here from different walks of life, personally, professionally, but we're all here with a common theme. We're all here because we want to network, we want to learn, we want to grow and impact and empower through other people.
Mhm.
That's what's up. I mean, that's what's up.
Yeah. And I love that you talk about just doing those things in common with other people, but you also may not know who is in the room with you. Again, on the same point before, I have to laugh every time I start adding people on like LinkedIn or social media, usually towards the end of improv classes. And I'm like, oh, geez, this person's a director at such and such. And we're over here cutting up about like ridiculous things. And it, that's just a big And I think that we kind of do that on purpose, is to not discover who's in the class with us so we can be free to be away from who we are in our day jobs. But it doesn't mean that those connections don't really truly resonate and last, because of the shared hobby, more than even the, oh, did I send a message to you on a social media outlet?
Exactly. And that's really why I do the singing, right? Like I sing. I mean, there was one, I mean, I've had a couple other people on LinkedIn where they're like, oh my gosh, you're an opera singer. I am too. Or, oh, I sing for a hobby. And they're completely out of left field. Like, oh, well, professionally I do marketing, or professionally I do that, or, and we just end up learning about each other that way. Or, I like to run. Like, I didn't know you were doing the Disney, I didn't know you're doing that in October. I'm like, now I'm thinking, I'm like, man, maybe I need to go down there and we can do it together or something. Or we're going to hold each other accountable.
Well,
Like,
this year's sold out, but you can always ask me, are you running
darn.
at all, Jacqueline, so you're not miserable? And
Yes,
like, the answer needs to switch to yes more than no.
exactly. But I had no idea. And it took, I'll say it took this much for us to know, but at the same time it didn't, because like we're getting on a live talk and chatting, impacting all that kind of stuff, and we just talked about it because it's a hobby we have. And it's like, oh my gosh, well, I didn't know you ran, but now it's something else that you and I can talk about together, like our running. And hey, how was week 2 training? Like, did you do your running? That kind of stuff. And boom, like, there you go. I love it.
Right. And then, it was, I try to get people to go from this fear of networking. I did a poll a couple months ago that just, I asked what stops someone from posting on LinkedIn. And number one was fear. And number two was they didn't feel like they had anything to add to the conversation. And that actually, it resonated in almost just, oh, how do I get that person to know that they can conquer this fear? It's okay. Social media doesn't usually have a long shelf life. So if you say something weird or quirky in a post, so what? So what would you recommend to somebody who's just in this fear cycle of not thinking they have what it takes to network well?
Yeah, the imposter syndrome, right? That's what comes out. Oh, I'm not good enough to post something, or what will people think, right? Like, how will they perceive me? That was really the one, like, before I started posting on social media during COVID. It'll be 5 years October that I actually have been out on LinkedIn and social media and stuff like that, actually creating content behind FulPHILment. That's actually how FulPHILment came to be a business. I just started writing content and trying to help fulfill and inspire job seekers, and then it became an actual business because I got so busy doing, ad hoc pro bono resume reviews and LinkedIn reviews and stuff like that. I'm like, I need to make a business out of it, and so I did. Yeah, when I had imposter syndrome back then, and that one question, right, like, how will people perceive me? I want them to perceive me as this, this certain way, right? Like, I want them to perceive me at the beginning. I used to have a more professional, like, corporate looking bow tie picture, on LinkedIn.
I remember.
I made it much more casual. I updated it, but now it's a more laid back, more chill Phil picture, which is more me. Because I just changed it about a month ago, and it's much more like relaxed, chill Phil. But back then, when I was in corporate, my perception when I got out on social was I want people to think of me as this distinguished, accomplished corporate HR professional Phil guy. And it was just fake. Like, I was like, it didn't feel like me. It wasn't me. Even though that's what I thought people wanted me to be like. So as I really just thought about that imposter syndrome, like, well, what are people going to really think about me singing and this FulPHILment hashtag and all this quirky stuff? Like, because I'm weird. I like it. I like who I am. Of course I do. And I'm like, nah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I am who I am, and I'm not going to change for anybody. So I'm just going to get out there and just be this singing career coach orange branding guy, and it's worked out so far. I mean, here I am 4 or 5 years later, and I'm making it happen still. And yeah, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to just be yourself and to get out there. Because again, people are watching. Like people are watching what you do. But I think at the end of the day too, like if you're going to get out there on social and stuff like that, be positive. Be positive for sure. Because look, we're all going through stuff. It's hard. Life's tough, right? Seeing all these layoffs happen, right? It's hard out there.
It is.
But we're all going through stuff. So I think at the end of the day, your content really should be empowering and uplifting. And if you have to be vulnerable, because I think it's also important to be vulnerable. Like if you're going through something and if you're struggling, like it's okay to say it. I think it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to share your struggles in a way that is still empowering to people. I think that's important, but definitely, but before you post, like I always think before I comment and think before I do every post. Like what is it going to be? How is it going to be perceived? And at the end of the day, is it really Phil like talking? So I don't use AI. I don't use any of that stuff for content at all. The only exception, and patience, I'll have to stop. If it's not your thing, keep scrolling. Really that simple. Yes. Perfect. That's amazing. Yes. If it's not your thing, yeah, you can scroll. You don't have to engage. Because if you engage on that thing that's not your thing, guess what? LinkedIn or social media is going to be like, oh, okay, they commented on this. Well, let me bring that back again, another day or another post. Exactly. The only thing I use AI for is sometimes for my music lyrics. Like if I'm going to write a song around résumé, like tips or whatever, sometimes I'll ask ChatGPT or AI to like start me off and like create lyrics in the beginning. And of course I'll massage it later. But as far as the music and the actual composition of the music, that's all Phil right here. That's all me, man.
Awesome. So. I love it. Yes, Gregory, I love your point. If you're afraid to post one post a week and then just comment and ask questions on people's posts, we are really at time, and I want to be very cognizant. And I could keep you said so many things in that answer that I could just have a whole nother session on. So I think at some point we have to end the whole thing, but I would love you to, if there's any parting thoughts or how can people find you, I would love to be able to share that, and I will post the links both on all of these social media outlets that we have. All and of the various streams that we've got going on, right?
Yes, and I definitely want to recap and repurpose this because it was powerful. Because you said some very powerful things, and if it wasn't for your insights, I wouldn't have been able to say the things that I said either. So I appreciate you. And yeah, with Gregory's comment, I mean, start small. Definitely one post a week for sure. People think they're like, oh, you need to post 2-3 times a day on LinkedIn or social. No, you don't. I can't post multiple times a day. I can't. Sometimes like this week, I didn't even post every day. I posted maybe twice this week, and then I promoted our live yesterday and today, and that's all I did. And like the weekends, I'm gone on the weekends. Like, see ya. I am not here on the weekends. Nope, absolutely not. Do what works for you. And I think that's really good what Gregory said too. Like, do what works for you in your schedule. But just get out there and start small, like Jacqueline said too, and earlier on. I mean, and that's the thing. All these insights that are here build to something even bigger. So I think for us too, like I want you on my FulPHILment live show for sure. On LinkedIn, everywhere that I post. Let's do it. We can continue, and we can just continue the conversation on my end and do it on my side for sure, because I want to do that. Where people can find me, they can find me on LinkedIn. Basically, if they go on Google and they just search FulPHILment, FulPHILment, they can find my website. They can find me everywhere. Everywhere, every social media account has FulPHILment in it. So they can follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, anywhere. I will say on my website, one of the biggest things I provide is I do have a free, and I'll have to look at your course too, but I have a free job search course on my website at www.fulphilment.com. If you just go there and click on the top, there'll say free career course. Just go there. It's about a 25-minute course for those folks who are kind of stuck in their job search or stuck in their career. I have loads of insights on that course, and it's free, always will be free. So go access that. That's a big thing that I provide with people, for sure. Or they can go to my LinkedIn featured section. I have it there as well, so they can do that. But connect with me. I'm an open book. I'm here. And yeah.
Yeah. And then if you are brand new to networking and have no idea where to get started on that, I do have like a free networking organizer. It's a spreadsheet, but it has settings you can put on LinkedIn and tracking job search and all of those various things. And that's on mentor.jacquelinewiddis.com. And it's like we have that give and take, right? It's like I can teach people how to network, and you can help them excel in their career when they're once they get there. And if they're like me, put their foot in their mouth all the time in office politics, it was not my strong point. But that's that's why I'm doing what I'm doing now. But thank you so much for being here. And
no, thank you for having me. This is the best way to end my week on a high note. Because it was really
sing us out, Phil. Sing us out, and you jump to it. So
it was
thank
a high
you
note
again,
discussion.
and have a great day, weekend, and I'll see you on our social medias a different day, different time. So thank you.
Yes, thank you, and thank you to everybody in the audience.
Yes, thank you.